Ticker symbol VIRI facing a sharp decline before an immediate recovery. I think I have a reason, and I also may have discovered an area that we can use as a bounce for a major upside. Okay, team, but before that, of course, we need to validate every single move happening thus far. So let's just go ahead and get this thing started now. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. This is ARCa coming at you with the VIRI technicals and raw price action thread of analysis on this Taco Tuesday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa Bulls. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay, team, so we are definitely looking at VIRI here on the 3-day chart, and let me show you just this, okay? So what you are looking at here is, in fact, the touch of the SMA 10 on price action, right? So this decline right here, that was incredibly important for us to find that support before an immediate upside. Okay, so one thing that I want to point out here too, team, is that it's been quite a while since the Gaussian bands have printed its first green iteration. Okay, so this is starting to get a green iteration here, and it's been, let's see, it has not been green since October 2022. Yeah, so just shy of a year, right, of it being in the red. So we're starting to get the first indications here of a reversal in total. Okay, so I'm talking about it wasn't a temporary upside. This may be a huge macro move to the upside and still continuing on. Of course, the immediate short-term timeframes, team, that just like always, right, we may face some variance, right, some ebb and flow, right. It's normal. It's normal for us to face that, but the important thing here is that if we can identify the potential sell-off or not, and if we can't do that, you know, so then we would be in serious trouble here. But to be very honest with you, team, I am not seeing anything that's giving us that that potential reason that we would, you know, essentially find a capitulation is what I'm trying to say. Okay, if we're not seeing that, then that's good. Okay, so now I want to go ahead and show you something else here on the 5-day chart. Okay, so the 5-day Gaussian band, you can see here that we're knocking at the door of that mean band, right? So it's, the more we knock at it, is just the better, right? We can see a potential recovery here. You can see that the 5-day also came back to the SMA 10 before it bounced to the upside, right? So that's also there. Even more reason for us to consider a potential breakout to the upside. So if we're not able to break out of it, then of course this thing is going to, you know, favor a downside here and probably fluctuate within that downside so that we can gather some more bulls before a continuation onto the upside. But this is looking pretty good in my personal opinion. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to the next chart. I want to show you just how much relevance there has been, right? So if you remember here, right, this is a broadening wedge, a broadening descending wedge that we looked at a while back before we were able to identify a potential upside move. Okay, team. So, so the top side of the channel here of the wedge itself, that is the take profit for this formation, right? So you can see here that we actually made that the golden rule of 3, right? We got the 3 test of the resistance. And then we got the breakout on true test number 4. We got the validation of the newly converted resistance, which is the yellow line, into a support before a continuation onto the upside. And we actually got that top side, which is the genesis of the formation. That is exactly where the price action went to and resisted from there, right? When it resisted from there, it created this pennant before creating a continuation to the upside, to the target of about $2.50, which we saw just about a couple of weeks ago, right? So very nice. Okay, now I want you to see just the decline here that we're facing, right? A lot of this is, I wouldn't say that they're, I guess it could be short positions, but a lot of this is also take profit, right? And upon the take profit, of course, there's going to be some stop losses hit on the way, right? And then you would get a recovery at any moment, at a relevant area of support. So what I'm trying to say here is that this pink line here, right, the one that's sitting at about 189, and this range here, 182 to 186, these ranges have served us as a very powerful area before a really nice upside, right? So particularly here, right, we use this for a huge upside move. Right over here, we used it for another huge upside move. And actually, I want to know how far of a move that was, right? So in total, range low to the range top, that was about a 23% move to the upside, right? So even over here, we used it yet again before another upside move. Could have been around an 18% move. So you can see that this is, in essence, a pretty nice demand area, right? So if that's the case, then we are sitting within it, and we surpassed it and even reached very close to the bottom side here, which was the literal price bottom when we faced this pennant, right? So we even came down that low, and now we kind of moved to the upside pretty aggressively. Okay, so I'm not saying that we're going to pop to the upside here right away, but what I am saying here is that we are in a critical demand, and this would be reaccumulation within this zone here. I would say anywhere between 176 to that area of about 193. This is all fair game here for a potential continuation to the upside even still. Okay, team, so let's go ahead and move on to the next chart and see what we have. Okay, so this is another particular chart that we've been looking at for some time, and I want to bring it up to you because there is high relevance here. Okay, so this was a previous area of support that we had drawn in here, right, for a potential resistance, right over here. We resisted. This was the zone that we were waiting for a breakout when we were trading within this area here, right? So nice, we got that breakout, and we actually came right back down to validate that support as well. Okay, so everything is looking good. Not bad, team. All right, so now you can see that we reclaimed the inside, and we've also broken outside of it and tested it again, and it looks like we're testing it one more time. Okay, so that's why I'm saying that there's a severe amount of confluence here within this support area that we're in. Not only that, is the buy daily EMA 21, which is, I mean, I regard this moving average highly in almost every time frame, right? You can see clean. We came right back down to it, tested it as a support, and rejected from it. Again, I'm not saying that we're going to move to the upside directly from here. I am saying that we could be facing that resistance, that chop zone that I spoke about, right? 193 to 174, something like that, right? So yeah, just keep an eye on that range here, but it's overall, it's not looking bad, team. All right, so the only thing that I would have to worry about here is this: I can't tell when the 5-day is going to close. I assume it's going to be closing maybe tomorrow, but there is kind of a bearish engulfing here on the 5-day time frame. Definitely not good, right? But if we were to consider a continuation to the downside, it would not be the end of the world. In fact, it would actually lead us into a very powerful range, which would be the 0618 at 167. And trust me when I say that if we do get a bounce from that area there, I'm speaking about 155 to around 167, that would mean a great deal for the asset, as it would land right within the golden pocket, right? The golden pocket is located between the 0382 and the 0618 Fibonacci sequence, and that would essentially help us out to bounce to the upside pretty nicely. One more thing, team, to consider here is that you can see that the EMA 21, the EMA 3 and the SMA 14 of the stochastic momentum indicator are still pivoted towards the upside. Not only that, is that they are also within this one at least, right? The leading indicator, more importantly than the other one, is in the gravitational zone of the bull strength percentile, or the bullish control zone. Okay, so that would suggest that we're going to get pulled to the upside even still. Now, the reason why I'm pointing this out is because statistically speaking, I have taken a metric of that very thing, right, over the entire trading history of the asset in the 5-day time frame. We don't have that many iterations, but so far it is succeeding again. We've already moved the standard deviation of 60.24%, right? So the conditions are these: anytime that we have expanded into critical volatility, being the 90 percentile and above, and started a contraction phase paired with an upside pivot on stochastic momentum, I have taken note of that iteration's upside thrust, the duration of the iteration, and the amount of times that the profile of volatility versus momentum have guessed the upside correctly versus incorrectly. In this case, you can see that we have only correct iterations, giving us a 100% upside accuracy. Of course, it's only perfect for now. And eventually, it's gonna fail, but not this time. We're still in the green. We've actually already met the standard deviation from the mean, right? So that would get the average upside thrust, aka the mean, is 64.76% over 50 days, which is pretty accurate actually. So, and now this is proof of work. The standard deviation, which we've obviously already met because of the mean, is 60.24% with an upper bound of the first standard deviation landing at 125%. That is what I'm focusing on here, team. So if we were to continue to the downside here, not only would we be talking about 167 to maybe 155, but we would essentially return to where the signal fired. And the signal fired right at the opening of this candle here, which was perfectly at 149. And we're talking about around 155. Right. So, and obviously the golden pocket is landing between 154 and 167. So there's a lot of confluence within this area here. Not sure that we can reach that low, but it would be pretty good to acquire some longs there, some bulls here. Right. So I would see this as a pretty bullish area to land in before a massive upside. The 125% move of the upper bound of the first standard deviation would essentially lead to a topside target of 335, which would actually put us above the resistance level of 315 that I was looking at right here from this top side of this candle from when we started capitulating from this area here, right? So back in September 19th, 2022, right? So essentially this would be the resistance range that the upper bound of the first standard deviation would take us to 315 to 345 with a focus on 335. Okay, team. So now the last part of the analysis here is actually the RSI, right? And even the RSI is suggesting a potential consolidation zone, slight downside on everything, which is kind of what I'm saying, that we would fluctuate within an area, right? So between that 174, potentially down to, if we can get enough juice in there, right, we would reach back down to that, to the 155, right? So if that's the case, right, remember this zone here, the 155 to 167, if we can reach this range, then great. But the RSI is suggesting maybe not so low. So in that case, we also have to look at the 174 as a support. Okay, team. So now what's giving me the fact, or what's giving me the idea here behind just a temporary downside is in fact the 5-day momentum here, the RSI. Look at it. It's actually about to reach the support zone of the SMA 14. And also from the gravitational zone of the bull weakness percentile. So not only would we face the support from the SMA 14, but we would also face it from the gravitational zone of this of the bull weakness percentile. That is good news. All right, so we can get that bounce from two areas of support and then continue onwards and onwards and upwards. Okay, team. So I think it's looking pretty good, team. I would kind of practice some patience here. I think that the asset still has some things to solidify within the range that it's in, but overall it's looking pretty nice. All right, team, please take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. Okay, team, I need you to do your own due diligence and everything will be cool. But with that said, team, I wish you well a very, 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 very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Literally mañana. Adios, team.